Welcome in, and on our ever-evolving schedule here on PowerMizzou.com, an evening edition of the 573 report. It is Wednesday night. We attempt to kind of find the best time of day where we wouldn't be going up against anything else on television that any of our viewers might possibly be watching tonight, and so obviously we pick 7:30 on this fine Wednesday night when there are no other sporting options available for you guys to be viewing. But before we get into the show and bring Mitchell 40 in, want to make sure that you guys remember 573 Tees. A lot of you may be coming in town this weekend for the homecoming game. It's at 3 o'clock. The parade's going to be downtown. If you're downtown, 573 Tees has a physical location in Alley A just between 9th and 10th Streets in downtown Columbia. Maybe you can swing by the shop, pick yourself up something to wear to the game. If you aren't able to go in there this weekend, you can always catch them online at 573tees.com, and you can support them that way. We encourage you to do so. And now we're going to bring in Mitchell 40, and Mitch, just want to give you the platform to talk about all the breaking news and the fantastic insight that Grant McInnes provided us at Media Day this week.
Yeah, it was really good. I couldn't tell you what he said because I didn't really pay attention because he couldn't talk about Jethro Franklin and the run defense. So he said a couple things about, the team was sticking together. They're really sticking together. They're not pointing fingers. I think he mentioned that. That's all I really got. Not a lot of interviews this week. I did Eli Drinkwitz 1.5 times. That's about it.
Yeah, I did learn at Media Day that it was Case Cook's fault. The offensive line didn't play well. That was according to Case Cook. The first 2 answers, I believe, was it's my fault. I take full responsibility, which is, look, it's admirable. It's admirable when Eli Drinkwitz does it too. It doesn't really mean, and like we joke, let's be clear. Nothing said at Media Day is going to, A, change what happened on Saturday, or B, make anybody feel any better about what happened on Saturday.
Right, and I do think that's kind of part of the reason why, when things go bad, college coaches a lot of times tend to kind of go into a bunker. Is that they know that when times are tough, everything that's said is going to be taken negatively. Even if they say the same thing in a happier time and it's taken well, people are mad, they want to get mad. Little things have a way of turning into, bigger deals on social media, as we've seen a few times this week. No one's happy.
Right. Speaking of social media, Ennis Rakestraw, who was the subject of some of that social media scorn this week, tears his ACL at Tuesday practice. Is ruled, I guess the official designation was likely out for the season. Is that right?
I think the release actually just said out indefinitely.
Okay.
There's no chance he's coming back this season.
Well, if he could come back, it would be probably only for a bowl game if Missouri would play it. That would be his 5th game played. At that point, it would be malpractice to put him on the field.
Right, and even then, no one's coming back from a torn ACL that fast. So
that's true.
Yeah, no. Basically, for all intents and purposes, Ennis Rakestraw is out for the season. Obviously, bummer for the kid. You never want a kid to go down for the year. I don't think, and I actually asked Eli Drinkwitz this today on the SEC teleconference, and he did not answer whatsoever because that's the theme of this week. Is, where there's really no answers, which is fine. But who maybe takes some reps in his place, and he basically said, well, we're in open competition anyway. But I don't think you suddenly see a bunch of new guys on the field because Mizzou had basically been playing 3 cornerbacks anyway. Caleb Evans has been playing almost every snap the last few weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was Rakestraw and Ishburdine who split snaps alongside him. Last week, it was Allie Green hardly played against Boston College. Last week, it was Allie Green and Rakestraw who split those snaps, and Burdine didn't play. So I think they'll probably be able to get by with Burdine and Allie Green splitting those snaps. Maybe you could slide Chris Abrams-Drain outside. You could slide Chris Sheeran outside. If they did feel like they needed another guy at that outside corner spot, it would probably be Darius Jackson, the true freshman, but I don't know. I'm not sure he's suddenly going to start playing 20 snaps a game or anything like that.
So, all right, stick with me here. What do you think about Jatorian Hansford? How would that go?
He's not good enough to start at defensive end, but I say we just start moving.
Also, apparently not at middle linebacker.
He started at middle linebacker last week. This week it's cornerback. Maybe next week it's safety. Who knows? Maybe like long snapper or some point in the future.
We were joking at practice that it would be cool if he was like the guy that just played all 9 positions in a baseball game. I would love to see him lined up at every single position on the field. But in all seriousness, no. I think at this point it's mostly Allie Green. The other option, I think, is it's mostly Sean Robinson. Like they just go to 3 safeties instead of 3 corners, and that would, like you said, involve moving Abrams Drain probably out of the slot, where I think they like him.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Sean Robinson's been playing a ton at that, kind of nickelback position because other teams run the ball against Missouri every play because Missouri gives them no reason to throw it. Yeah. So, I mean, he and Abrams Drain are kind of splitting spots there. I don't think Robinson would ever go to outside corner. Maybe Abrams Drain could, and you stick with Robinson there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Really, at this point, no one may ever throw against Missouri again, so you may never even notice the cornerbacks.
Right. I mean, they won't travel. Not only will they not travel their punters, they will not travel their wide receivers to the game. They will just go 6 tight ends and line up and run the ball. In all seriousness, though, like, I don't know. North Texas this weekend. Look, I don't think anything necessarily. I said this on another show earlier today. It's a little bit like SEMO in that most of what we can learn will be negative. Like, I don't think if you come out and win 47-10 and hold North Texas to 140 rushing yards, I don't think that necessarily means everybody should come out of this going, hooray, it's all fixed.
Yeah, 100%. And, obviously, I think the baseline things you want to see are just you don't want to see guys looking confused. You want to see guys at least being able to play fast. And if they make some mistakes, they make some mistakes playing fast. You'd obviously like to see the tackling improve. So, I mean, while North Texas can run the ball, and there's been some concern about that, they average 200 yards per game on the ground, their offense has not been good this season. I actually just pulled it up. They've played 3 games against FBS competition. In those games, they've scored 12, 6, and 17 points. They're not exactly, an offensive juggernaut. So, maybe they're able to move the ball, and probably they are because everyone else has moved the ball on the ground against Missouri this season. But yeah, I don't think even if Missouri is able to slow them down, that it suddenly means everything's fixed. Of course, by the same token, if they come out and run for 425 or 452 or whatever it was yards as well, then we've reached
blow it up.
Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, David reports that there are a handful of people on Power Mizzou that seem to think North Texas could win. This does not surprise me. I mean, I gleefully tweeted out Mizzou was a 20-point favorite on Monday because I just knew what the response would be. I mean, sure, North Texas could win, right? I mean, there's a world in which that happens. It wouldn't be like SEMO winning, but it would be a significant upset. And I'm not even going to say if they win. If this is a game in the fourth quarter, we go from the level that we're at right now, which is okay, let's say it's here of a problem, to way up here of a problem. I mean, if North Texas makes a game of this, nobody may ever talk again from Missouri football.
Yeah, and there are different degrees to it. If Mizzou, looks like the better team, but turns it over 4 times or something like that, it's obviously a problem, and we're gonna have conversations about the quarterback probably if he's responsible for those turnovers. But it's not like suddenly someone's getting fired. I mean, you're still not feeling good. But if it's a situation where North Texas goes score for score with Mizzou and scores 35 points or something like that, oh my gosh, it's going to be bad.
I mean, if that happens, you absolutely. I don't care if you fire somebody, but you change the guy calling the defensive plays, and I don't think you pay a guy $1.2 million to not call defensive plays. I don't think we're going to get to that point, to be quite honest. I think the next game that we can really learn much of anything is probably going to be A&M on the 16th. And frankly, watching A&M, I might be to the point where I say if they run for 300 yards, I think it's a huge problem because they're fairly non-functional themselves.
Yeah, that offense is not good, and I didn't get to watch any of their game this past weekend. But,
I watched.
Obviously, they've had major trouble scoring, moving the ball, and I mean, you want to say hey, all of a sudden that's looking like a more winnable game for Missouri at home, but I mean, I don't know. I still can't quite get past what I saw Saturday at this point.
Right.
Like, I'm still picking Mizzou to beat North Texas fairly easily, but I'm not ready to go ahead and say, like, hey, what? Maybe they can beat A&M. I'm not quite at that point.
I'm not going to spoil my prediction, but I did already send it in, and I am pretty proud of it. So
it's fairly comical. You all should tune in or be sure to read the game preview just for that.
Right. If it comes true, we're going to have a long Saturday night, no question. All right. Well, real quick, we're going to talk some basketball here in a minute, but do want to, again, just tell you guys, go to, hey, look, I just changed the background there, completely accidental, but go to 573tees.com, 573tees.com. Get yourself maybe a new shirt or a visor for basketball season. You also can actually get a Power Mizzou shirt there if you go to, I've got some sitting over next to me. I don't really want to hold them up in front of my face, but if you go to 573tees.com/collections/Power Mizzou, you can support 573 Tees, one of our sponsors, and also represent PowerMizzou.com at the same time. They are black and gold, also some white. So, I thought that was marketing genius on my part, not to get them made in orange or blue or anything like that. So if you guys go and check that stuff out, we certainly would appreciate it. Everybody always needs a T-shirt. I've actually gotten a few compliments on mine. They're very comfortable. I would highly recommend that you wear them. So, Mitch, here's where we're at. We got to watch... I don't want to say we got to watch basketball practice today. For about 10 minutes, we watched them watch film. Then for about 10 minutes, we watched them stretch. And then for about 10 minutes, we watched them do some basketball things. But the point we are in the calendar is the point where, hey, everybody's convinced, like, this is the year. It was good. They got rid of the old guys that were overrated and let it collapse in the second half of the season, and now we've got new guys in, and they're all going to be better, and rainbows and unicorns again.
Yeah, we often joke, and we did a little bit on Monday about the Mizzou fan cycle where, it's just you get so hyped up for this next season, then about a third of the way in, you're like, all right, when's the next sports season? And you get hyped up for that, and then about a third of the way in, it's out when spring football starts. It's a vicious cycle. So I actually got to watch a little bit more practice than you did because you had to run. They did, through about 30 minutes of sitting there, no one had actually attempted a shot yet, so It was hard to really call that much practice. But, I also got to talk to a couple people, including Konzo Martin, just to kind of about what this team looks like. And it really is a mystery because, we've only seen basically two of these guys play in a Missouri uniform before. So, and I definitely take this
why you
stuff with
discount Jordan Wilmore's 22 minutes?
Well, yeah, as I said, basically, we hardly got to see him. Plus, he looks like a different guy. He lost a lot of weight.
That's true.
But yeah, and so take this with a huge grain of salt because we hear this every year. But the talk was, this team's identity, this team's style of play, it's going to be playing faster, playing more guys, distributing the ball a little bit more, not having, one or two or three guys kind of dominate the touches. Playing better defense. Obviously, Konzo Martin, defense is important to him, and Missouri was lacking on that side of the ball towards the end of last season. Excuse me. And just kind of doing the positionless thing, which again, we've heard about that so much. I actually hate that phrase at this point because no one even really knows what it means. But that's the talk. We'll see if it happens. But yeah, go ahead and get excited about it if that's your thing.
Well, and I do think there's at least, look, I don't know if they're going to be good, bad, or indifferent, but there is intrigue about this team. Because like you said, we know nothing about them. Like, they're going to take the floor against Central Michigan, and I don't know when that is. It's approximately a month away. But they're going to take the floor against Central Michigan, and we're going to have no clue what to expect. Maybe that by that point, Konzo will have kind of told us, hey, here's the 5 guys that are going to start. I doubt it because coaches don't really do that before the season starts. But, maybe we'll have an idea kind of what a rotation is, but I don't know what to expect out of Boogie Coleman or Dejuan Gordon or Amari Davis as basketball players. Like, I've legitimately never seen any one of them play a basketball game.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree. I think I'll be interested to see who plays. I'll be interested to see who kind of fits what role. And Konzo did say today, which kind of surprised me. Like, yeah, we kind of started. We go ahead and get an idea at this point of what everyone's role is going to be. And of course, that can change, but yeah, like, and then obviously, how many guys are they playing? What's kind of who's kind of playing what spot and stuff like that. Who can play multiple spots? So yeah, I mean, just kind of watching practice today, I did get the sense that I think this is a more athletic team than we've seen the past few years, which is something that I think Missouri fans will welcome. I mean, that's been a glaring issue for the past several years, is that Mizzou had some guys like Drew Smith who could score and do some things right, and Javon Pickett obviously kind of falls under that mold, but not a lot of guys who could blow past someone or who are dynamic athletes other than maybe Xavier Pinson. I think you have more of that on this team. I still do think, though, there's going to be some growing pains, and there's maybe I would be a little, if there's one thing I'd be worried about, it's just a little bit of a lack of skill and a lack of shooting. But we'll see. Like we said, we really have no idea what we're talking about.
Right. And also, again, like, I spent 2.5 years of listening to, no, this is the year Mark Smith's a complete player and can get his own shot. And then, look, Mark Smith never was a complete player who could get his own shot. So we say this in football camp every year, and it falls on completely deaf ears. Like, but I think maybe it'll make a little more sense this year now that Steve Wilkes has told everybody we think the defensive line is the strength of the defense, and then we've seen this defense play. So whatever comes out of preseason camp, we can't be there to verify it. So we are just basically repeating what these people say. And sometimes, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but coaches just don't tell us the truth. I mean, sometimes these dudes just lie.
Yeah, they really quite often. I'd say maybe more times than not, actually.
At least 51% of the time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not trying to like knock Konzo's honesty, integrity. He's clearly a good dude, but like we've gone through this with him before of like, oh yeah, we're gonna pick up the pace, we're gonna play more positionless, and they did speed it up last year. But like, I mean, every single year I've covered him, he's been very married to the idea of having a traditional center on the floor. So we'll see what happens. It's like you said, it's intriguing. I don't really know what to expect, and I kind of enjoy that because that's the first time we've been able to say that in a little while.
I think the big thing that I'm interested to see with this team, how often do we see this team play without either Jordan Wilmore or Yaya Keita on the floor? Because Yaya is, like, he looks like a super athlete. Like, I don't think he is a anchor yourself in the post and it means you have to slow down center. But at the same time, I would like to see times with Trevon Brazile being the big man. I mean, he's 6'9". Now, he like $180, but, he's tall enough to play in there, but he's clearly really athletic and could get up and down the floor. So that would be a way that you could have some size, but still play some of this basketball that Konzo's talking about.
Sure. I mean, shoot, Kobe Brown playing the 5. I mean, why not? Like he plays inside a ton. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, we were talking at practice today. One of Missouri's 2 best basketball teams of the last 27 years legitimately had Kim English playing power forward. And Ricardo Ratliff was the center. And Ricardo Ratliff was like 6'7" and could jump over my laptop approximately. He was not a great athlete, but it worked because everything you gave up on one end, other teams had to figure out a way to fix it on the other end. So everything it was a trade-off. And so there are a lot of ways this can work. And who knows? I think it'll be, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but I mean, this is a tough schedule, man, especially for a brand new team. I'm just without going through it. Like, I think anything over 500 is actually a pretty solid year for this team.
Yeah, it is a tough schedule. It starts off with a couple relatively easy games, and then you hit a stretch, and I also don't have it in front of me, but it's like, Wichita State, Liberty, you got the Thanksgiving tournament with SMU and maybe Florida State. You get Utah, you get
Kansas, Illinois.
Obviously, Kansas and Illinois, Iowa State later in the season, although they were awful last year. But, you play a lot of Power 5 and AAC level teams. And then you go into the SEC, which, has been getting better and better. And I mean, everyone in the league just keeps reeling in these transfers and high level recruits. So, yeah, I definitely think that, especially when you consider there's probably going to be some growing pains for a brand new team. I can't get to the point where I'm saying, like, I think this is a tournament team. And
Right.
Really, I don't think that's, I don't think, and it won't happen, but I don't think anyone should be like, oh my gosh, stunned, fire everyone if it's not
Right.
a tournament team.
I
So,
mean, the last part will happen, but it shouldn't. But so just real quick, we'll run through it. I mean, it's Central Michigan, then apparently it's Kansas City, no longer UMKC, which maybe is good for Missouri. UMKC never needs to come to this building again. Northern Illinois. Like, theoretically, that ought to be 3-0. But then SMU, Florida State. I mean, I don't know anything about SMU this year, but they've been a solid team in the past few years. Like, that's a team that can beat Missouri on certain days. Florida State, probably a top 15 to 20 team, I would think. Wichita State, hey, that's a good program. Liberty is not a slouch. Eastern Illinois, they're going to stop by for some tacos on the way to Columbia.
You better not get them in an ice storm when they can get some tacos on the way.
Yeah, better not let them go to El Pancho Ruiz or whatever it is outside of Florissant. But we're going to assume that's a win. But then you're at Kansas. You host Utah in a return game from, I think, Utah's 1962 national champions played. Missouri played there. Bragging rights. And then you're in the SEC. I mean, legitimately, after Northern Illinois on November 18th, I look at this schedule, and there's only one game that I say I'm 95% sure Missouri is winning. One game.
Yeah, for sure. And if they lose to SMU in that Thanksgiving tournament, who they get, like Loyola Marymount or something, like they should probably win that. I totally agree. It's a gauntlet for sure. And Konzo he addressed that today, and he said that was kind of by design. Part of trying to attract kids to this program is say we're going to play real competition. We're not just going to roll out of bed and play 14 cream puffs and then get into the SEC slate. So I'm cool with it, but yeah, I do think that fans are going to need to brace themselves for Mizzou to enter conference play under 500.
Well, and that doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, that this isn't going to work or anything like that. I mean, I think this is a lay the foundation. And look, next year, some of these guys are going to be juniors and seniors. You do need to be better next year, and you do need to be talking tournament, but not necessarily this year. The bummer of it for fans is that basically none of those games are at home. I mean, SMU and Florida State are in Jacksonville. Wichita State's here. That's fine, but Wichita State is not like a, oh, my God, I got to be there matchup necessarily. Kansas on the road. Utah's here, but again, Utah's probably the second worst team they play in December, honestly. Illinois is obviously on the road. Kansas on the road. Kentucky on the road. So
Illinois is at least in a neutral side.
Right.
I mean, a lot of fans go to that game.
Away from home, I guess I should have said. But it is too bad that a couple more of these games aren't at home. But the trade-off is obviously Kansas is going to be here next year and things like that. So, I don't know. I feel like it was a good thing to talk more basketball because that probably is maybe where a little bit more of the enthusiasm would lie as of Wednesday night here at 7:53.
Yeah. I think there's still a fair amount of enthusiasm for blood out there when it comes to the football team. But, we hammered that pretty hard on Monday, and we've pretty much talked to nobody since Monday, so there's not like we have a whole lot to add.
So let's just kind of finish up with this, though. Like, I've said a few times, I would not want anybody to judge me on my worst day of work, right? I mean, I've had some pretty bad days, and I would not want anybody to say, well, that's what he is. Saturday is not what Missouri is. So give me, like, chances out of 100 that this team can find a way to get to 6-6.
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe 20, maybe a 20% chance. That's so. Let's think about it. I mean, you should absolutely beat North Texas and Vanderbilt.
Yes, and you should still beat South Carolina.
I think at South Carolina at this point is pretty much a toss up. I mean, Mizzou should probably have the better team. But, you're on the road, and, I mean, when you have a flaw like Missouri has that, I mean, can be exploited. I mean, I don't know. That Mizzou probably maybe a slight favorite, but so we're looking at we're already down to roughly a 50% chance, and then you got to beat one of
A&M or Arkansas.
A&M or Arkansas, and I think Mizzou is going to be less than favored in both. They'll be an underdog probably in both of those games. Yeah, I feel good not going through it. I feel good about my 20% chance.
I mean, but weird things happen in that Arkansas game, and it's 8 weeks away. Like, we've seen a couple of trash Arkansas teams really push Missouri in that game. Like, I mean, really not good Arkansas teams made Missouri sweat a lot more than they needed to. So
we saw Mizzou in, what was it, like 2016 or whatever?
2015. It was Pinkel's last year.
And then ended up beating one of Bielema's best teams there. So
that was, or no, it would have been 2016 because Pinkel's last game was actually a loss at Arkansas, and they carried him off the field, and it was super awkward. But or a loss at home to Arkansas. But I mean, I don't know. I would go higher than 20%. I would certainly go below 50%, but I just think that I think people will look at this thing a lot differently a week from tonight. I mean, in fact, I'm almost positive that most people will be saying, okay, now I can see we're going to the Birmingham Bowl. Definitely going to the Birmingham Bowl after they beat North Texas, 36-12 or whatever the final score is.
I am not going to the Birmingham Bowl. I can tell you that right now.
Zero chance. I might not even watch the Birmingham Bowl, to be quite honest with you. So,
just read the box score and write about it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. They'll have some recruits in town. You'll be at the game. I don't know. I feel like there's nothing else really that we haven't hit on.
Yeah, no, not really. I think you just hope it's a chance to get back on the right track and get some confidence going. I feel like the only other thing to possibly hit on is like there's been some chatter about the no depth chart thing and like, oh yeah, it's an open competition or whatever. We did get to watch a little bit of practice yesterday, and it's a very, very small sample size. So like, who knows? I would be very surprised if the playing time suddenly looks a lot different on Sunday. There may be one or two guys where it's like, oh, he's playing a little more, he's playing a little less. I don't foresee all of a sudden having like 7 true freshmen out there.
Right.
So
I think
that's the only other thing I wanted to add.
I think there will be some changes. I don't think all of a sudden a guy who has not, like Davion Sistrunk, is not suddenly playing 62 snaps on Saturday, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
Because if they thought realistically, I mean, these coaches have had all of spring ball and all of fall camp and now 5 weeks of the season. They're not just going. I know they said everything's open, but like they didn't just throw away everything they've seen and said, okay, whoever's better Tuesday is the starter. I mean, that's not how you do things.
Right. It would be like, the only other time I've seen anything like that was Barry Odom's last game when he knew he was getting fired, and he was just like, hey, you want to play? Okay, 34 snaps. Ishburdine, you were at one point ruled out for the season. 40 snaps. Go after it. Jamal Brooks, 35 snaps. Why not?
It would be truly like. Look, I've seen bad pitchers throw no-hitters, right? Like, legitimately bad pitchers have gotten hot one night and thrown a no-hitter. So it would be like had the Dodgers had some guy do that and just said, Max Scherzer, you're out, man. We're going to have this guy threw a no-hitter one time, so we're going to have him start the wild card game. Doesn't make sense.
So. Yeah, I did want to address that since I know there's been some chatter about it, and we didn't really talk about it Monday because we hadn't seen practice at that point. So that's all I got.
Well, we will preview the North Texas Mean Green. I found a North Texas beat writer to join us.
Oh, wow, great work. Yeah, I thought you were going to have to try to get Red Baker on this show, which obviously I'm sure is not a waste of his time at all.
He 100% would have done it, but I figured probably, let's get somebody that actually covers the team. So we're going to do that tomorrow. Joe Waljasper is going to make picks with me on Friday, and then Mitch and Joel will have coverage from the stadium on Saturday. So Mitch, we'll let you go, man. We'll talk to you later on.
Sounds good.
All right. One more time, 573 Tees, that is located in downtown Columbia. If you want to find them in Alley A between 9th and 10th Street, once again, swing in there maybe before the homecoming game this weekend. Pick yourself up something to wear. Pick yourself up a Power Mizzou t-shirt. Actually, you can do that online. You cannot do that in person. They don't have those in the store. But you can do that online at 573tees.com/Power Mizzou or /collections/Power Mizzou. Would like you to check that out. Again, understand that tonight was not the night to get a ton of interaction and questions because there is other sporting things going on that people are paying attention to. So certainly appreciate those of you who did watch along live with us. Hit the like button before you leave. But a lot of people probably listen to this particular one on the podcast. So if you're listening that way, whether it's through Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, we're on all of those. Just leave us a nice review, 5-star review, nice comments, all that. We appreciate it. It helps other people find out about what we're doing, helps the numbers, helps the sponsors, all that. So we like all of those things. Appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, be back tomorrow previewing North Texas and plenty of stuff leading up to homecoming. So we will talk to you later on.